Good day, fellow torts obsessives, and welcome back to Practice Perfect. This review covers a rather infamous method of proving negligence, the learned hand formula. As you will recall, the party asserting a claim of negligence bears the burden of proving all of the elements, including breach of, or the failure to live up to, the standard of reasonable care. There are a number of methods a party may use to prove that a party breached their standard of due care. The defendant's violation of a relevant safety statute, the mystic doctrine of res ipsa loquitur, direct testimony as to the defendant's conduct, circumstantial evidence of the defendant's conduct, expert testimony, violation of an employer's work rules, failure to follow customary practice in a trade or industry, and notoriously, the hand formula. Because there are many ways to prove breach, we Practice Perfect perfectionists have divided them into 4 separate reviews, with this review focusing on the hand formula. For simplicity, I will speak in terms of a plaintiff proving a defendant's negligence, but bear in mind that a defendant may use exactly these same methods to prove that a plaintiff was negligent, which is an issue in many negligence cases. The hand formula is named for Judge Learned Hand, a famous federal judge. In United States v. Carroll Towing, Judge Hand suggested that reasonable care can be illustrated by a mathematical equation, B is less than PL, affectionately dubbed the hand formula. The left side of the formula is the burden of preventing an accident, the cost the actor would incur to take a precaution that would have reduced or eliminated the risk. The right side of the formula is the probability that an accident will happen if the precaution is not taken, multiplied by the likely loss if that accident occurs. Hand's idea was that this formula could be used as a test for negligence. There's a good bit of common sense in this, despite the mathematical dress. What Hand is saying is that negligence should be viewed through a cost-benefit lens. That is, an actor is negligent for failing to take a precaution costing B only if it is less than P times L. In the parlance of the third restatement authors, primary factors to consider in ascertaining whether the person's conduct lacks reasonable care are the foreseeable likelihood that it will result in harm, the foreseeable severity of the harm that may ensue, and the burden required of the defendant to eliminate or reduce the possibility of harm. Let's look at some examples that will illustrate this idea. Suppose that Acme Company is designing a machine, the Acme Multi-Cutter. Acme estimates that every multi-cutter it sells carries a 2% risk of an accident at some point in its useful life, and that the average injury cost is $30,000 per accident. Acme could add a guard around the exposed blade of the multi-cutter, but it would cost $100 to add the guard to each machine. So B, the per unit cost of the precaution to prevent those accidents, is $100. P is the probability of harm. We know there is a 2% chance it will lead to an injury without the guard. L is the magnitude or dollar amount of the loss. We know the average accident will cause $30,000 in damages. If reasonable care is determined by applying the hand formula, should Acme add the guard to each machine? Yes, it should. Remember, if B is less than PL, then Hand says a reasonable person would undertake that precaution. Here, B equals $100, P equals 0.02 or 2%, and L $30,000. To get PL, we multiply 0.02 by $30,000, which is $600. According to the Hand formula, this is a burden a company should reasonably undertake. In cost-benefit terms, it is worth it to spend $100 to save $600 in expected accident costs. Therefore, Acme should install the guard. This may be confusing, especially to the many of you who chose law school to avoid math. So let's try another example. Imagine the same set of facts, but now let's change the numbers. The multi-cutter guard will cost $125 per unit. Without it, there is a 1% chance of an accident at a per-accident average cost of $10,000. If reasonable care is determined by applying the Hand formula, Should Acme add the guard to each machine? No, it should not. Using these numbers, B is not less than PL because $125 is greater than $100. In Handland, Acme should not be found negligent in this second case because the safety precaution is not cost effective. It would cost more than the accident it would prevent. One critique of the hand formula has been that often the three factors in the formula cannot be meaningfully quantified. In our two product manufacturing examples, a manufacturer may have a reasonable way to quantify the figures, but in the ordinary fender-bender between two drivers, it's quite difficult to assign any numbers to these factors in the equation. Who knows just how probable it is that a particular type of accident will happen? Or if it does, whether the injured party will suffer a bruised knee or complete paralysis. Others criticize the formula for its singular focus on economics, whereas tort law has other goals, such as deterrence and fair compensation. Perhaps what is important is to understand the learned hand formula for what it is. It is ultimately nothing more than a type of cost-benefit balancing test, and the formula, albeit imperfect, is a way of looking at whether one reasonably undertook or failed to undertake a precaution by using an economic cost-benefit lens. This concludes our practice-perfect exploration of the learned hand formula. We recommend you test your newfound knowledge by taking our practice